This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from an upcoming writers' conference, mainly for young writers, the SCBWI. We'll get to that in a minute, but say hi to Jill Essbaum and Lisa Morlock. Ladies, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for hosting us.
You're very welcome.
So the SCBWI...
It's Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and we represent the Iowa region. It's a national, international organization.
And you have a writers' conference coming up the weekend of October 13th.
That's correct.
And how long has this been going on?
Well, Connie Heckert, our past RA, was RA for 17 years, and prior to that, it went on at least probably 5 years prior to that, so over probably close to 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you'll be having some book sales, you'll be having, you're bringing some authors in, like Jill, who didn't have to come very far.
That's exactly right.
But some who'll be coming from farther away. And I assume some workshops and opportunities for people maybe to get their work looked at and some assistance.
Exactly. We start with programming with a great writer's workshop with Lisa Cron. She writes about storytelling in the power of storytelling. We've got an agent coming in, an editor, an art director, and they all are looking at work and critiquing work. So we've got some on-site critiques. We've got some off-site critiques. We utilize all of our great local Iowa authors to do roundtables and peer reviews, and we have a story slam, which is kind of like a poetry slam with stories. And yeah, I think it offers something for everyone. If you're just novice coming into it with an idea, or if you're published, lots of times, a few dozen times, there's something for everybody at our conference.
Jill, I'm going to ask you in a minute about what you do as a moderator and a panelist in an event like that. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about your work.
Well, I write primarily picture books, and I do a lot of nonfiction for National Geographic. So those are on a deadline. My picture books are purely on spec, and believe me, nobody's waiting for them, very often anyway. And so it's a good life. It's not something you could, I used to do a lot of private critiquing of other people's picture books, and they would ask me how to get on Oprah. This is back when Oprah still had her show, and I thought, okay, this is not the job for you. I could support myself like in a van down by the river. So it's not something you get into for the money. It's something you get into for the love of it and for your passion for children and for writing stories for children. And it's just been a dream come true for me. And if I hadn't found SCBWI and started going to these conferences, I never would be where I am today. Because if you're listening out there and you have an idea that you want to maybe write for children, you have no idea where to start. And so coming to something like this, you walk into the room and there are 80, in this case, 80 other people coming to this one so far that we know of. And it's like all of a sudden you found your tribe. And you can turn in any direction, and any person there, you can strike up a conversation because they all have the same passion that you have.
Some of our listeners know that I write a little bit, and I second that in a huge way, because writing is a very solitary occupation, and finding other people who you can not, sometimes discuss your work, but also discuss how to work. And people who understand what you're going through and maybe have experienced some of the same things is just huge.
Right. And your family loves you, but they don't know. And you find another writer and you talk about, the writing life and trying to, half the time you're tearing your hair out trying to make it exactly right, and then you submit, and that's another long process and sometimes frustrating. And you can, commiserate, and you get to know these people so well, so quickly, you feel like you've known them all your life. And so that's why I look forward to conferences too, let alone the fact that you can always learn something. I always take something new home.
What kind of things do you write for National Geographic?
I write a lot of animal books and concept books. I have a series called Explore My World, and that's aimed at 4 to 6-year-olds, and it's about different animals and concepts like coral reefs is the next one. I've got koalas and sea otters and things like that. Kangaroos I just finished. I also have, there's a whole series called The Little Kid's Big Book of, and so I've written the Big Book of How, and I just finished the Big Book of Why, and things like that too.
And Lisa, you have a novel out, or book out as well. Tell me about that.
I have one picture book. It's called Track That Scat, and it sort of has a fiction storyline with nonfiction elements. So it won an NSTA award, which is a Science Teachers Award, and so it's good for classrooms if you want to get out and do nature walks.
It's great for classrooms.
And tell me about one of your picture books. I know that I want to guard against spoilers, and of course, a picture book usually tells a pretty quick story. But don't tell the whole thing.
Right,
but,
you have a whole 500 or 600 words to tell the whole story.
Right.
That's the
I can't
hard
even,
thing about
I
writing
can't even
picture
clear
books.
my throat in 500 words.
I know, when you start out, you think, oh, picture books, that's the easiest thing, and it turns out to be really difficult. But yeah, probably my newest one is called If a T-Rex Crashes Your Birthday Party. And it's told from the point of view of the kid who that happened to, and he wants to warn you. That's how it starts out anyway, warn you about what to expect.
Well, we talked a little bit about this a few minutes ago, but for those who, somebody who's maybe thinking about coming to this conference, thinks they might have a book in them, but is scared to death to admit that publicly, let alone go hang out with real writers. So talk for just a minute about, kind of the atmosphere and how you welcome people like that, because there are going to be those folks at the concert. Maybe some of them are listening right now.
Sure. Well, we always send out an email that kind of gives people a little bit of a preview of what to expect and what to bring to have with you, because sometimes you don't even know what to bring of your own writing, how to dress for it. And then we have a new orientation session, which any member of SCBWI, anybody who comes to the conference can come to. But if you're new and this is your first time, it's a really nice way to just know people right away. And we tell people, exchange information when we're sitting here right before the conference even starts. And it's also a way to get on listserv, which if you're a member of SCBWI, you can be connected via virtual group. Yeah. So that's another good way to get people connected. And then one thing that you'll see is you can sit down by anybody, and it's not a competitive environment like you think maybe it would be.
Very supportive.
Exactly, because you have your own voice, and no one can tell your story like you can.
And there are always new people who haven't even begun. They just want to kind of put their toe in the water. And it's great to do that too. I think we're a very friendly group, and if we know you're new, somebody will come up to you and try to make you feel welcome.
What's the one piece of advice you'd each give to a new writer?
I think to stay open-minded on opportunities to improve your work. Sometimes you go in thinking this is it, and you don't realize how far a piece might have to go. So if you can stay open-minded and know that it's going to take a lot of persistence and surround yourself with a nice community, you'll be fine.
Right. I was going to say, too, be open to revision, because, I mean, even now I have quite a few picture books published, and still, there's times when I think something's ready, and I send it to my critique group online, which includes Lisa, and it never is, So you always have to be open to revision and what might make it better, because when somebody walks into a bookstore and picks up your book, you can't tell them how to read it, or you can't say, wait, you got that part wrong.
Right. Yeah, the reader is always right.
Right. That's correct.
Talking with Jill and Lisa from the SCBWI Writers Conference coming up October 13th at the Doubletree in downtown Cedar Rapids. So if somebody's interested, how do they get signed up?
Well, you can go to scbwi.org and go under the Iowa region, and you'll find our conference. It's called Storytelling, What's Your Superpower? And it really is open to anybody who's got a story to tell, whether you're published or brand new.
Well, I wish you both good luck with it, and great to meet you. Thanks for coming in and talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is books and writing, and I hope the conference goes really well.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dennis.